Angeles.
Hey there, welcome to NBA Today, your new home for the NBA on ESPN. And we will be with you weekdays from 3 to 4 Eastern, live from Los Angeles. And we're one day out from the start of the season. And if it's happening in the NBA, we will have it. Each day, I will be joined by our expert panel of analysts and insiders, including Adrian Wojnarowski. Woj, breaking news for us today?
Well, we've got a lot of news. $105 million extension for Jaren Jackson Jr. in Memphis. What we'll be tracking ahead of the 6 p.m. deadline today. Will Phoenix give DeAndre Ayton a max contract? Absolutely. Interesting stuff. Now, to introduce the rest of our team, we had to bring in a special guest. Lakers public address announcer Lawrence Tanter, who has called 9 of LA's 17 championships and is celebrating his 39th season with the franchise. Take it away, Lawrence.
Thank you, Malika. Here they are. First, a 6'7" analyst from Phoenix, Arizona and Moon Valley High School. He's a 2016 NBA champion, 2004 Olympic bronze medalist, a budding TikTok star, Richard Jefferson.
Yeah.
A 6'3" forward from Tomball, Texas and Stanford University. She was the #1 pick in the 2014 WNBA draft and Rookie of the Year. A 2-time WNBA All-Star, Chiney Ogwumike. Born and raised in Connecticut before attending Dartmouth College, host of the widely popular The Low Post podcast, senior writer Zach Lowe. A 6'10" former McDonald's All-American and 2008 NBA champion. An expert at carrying the hell on. Introducing the toughest guy in the room, Kendrick Perkins.
The Simmons saga rolls on in Philadelphia. Doc Rivers addresses the media, and Woj has the latest on the Sixers' disgruntled star. And the drama continues to unfold in Brooklyn. How will Kyrie's absence impact the potential for James Harden to become the NBA's first $60 million a year player? Plus, a storm is brewing in the Eastern Conference. Who is the team to beat? Does the Bucks stop in Milwaukee? NBA Today starts right now. Let's get right to it. It's been 90 days since we last had NBA basketball, guys, but the news hasn't stopped. So, Richard, what's the biggest offseason storyline?
Well, I think it's got to be Kyrie Irving, mainly because, they are the favorite team to win a championship. They finally have everybody back and healthy, and then obviously the COVID-19, the vaccine protocols, which is an NBA or which is a New York City thing, is not an NBA thing. So that has actually turned into something bigger than basketball. So I think that is the biggest question that's leading into this season. What's going to happen there?
Absolutely, and that still has yet to play out just a little bit more. So that is true. Then, Zach, what is the most impactful acquisition this summer?
You could go Kevin Durant's extension. You could go Zion acquiring a broken foot. But it has to be Russell Westbrook. The Lakers had a choice. Buddy Hield, KCP, Dennis Schroeder, some other holdover guys, or all in on Russ, a point guard who loves to shoot and doesn't do it very well. The biggest variable in the league is how he fits with LeBron James, and the biggest variable below that is what is he doing when LeBron James has the ball, and what is the defense doing vis-a-vis Russell Westbrook? That's the biggest question in the NBA.
So we've heard about Kyrie Irving. We have heard about Russell Westbrook. Big Perk, what is the biggest question mark for you heading into this NBA season?
Oh, it's Ben Simmons in the Philadelphia 76ers. What are they going to do with him? We all know that he's in his feelings. We know that he wants out. But guess what? Teams have been trying to trade and offering a box of Clorox wipes, Lysol, and Fabuloso for the mess he cleaned up. So if I'm Rich Paul, I'm telling Ben Simmons, hey, man, you got to play. Help me help you. Go out there and perform well so that I could get you out of Philly.
Well, speaking of, Ben Simmons practiced with the Sixers today, and afterwards, Doc Rivers had this to say.
Yeah, he played more, for sure, today, and we're just going to take our time and keep building.
What about the chemistry? I didn't see you interacting with the teammates much. I know it's important.
Yeah, it'll grow. It'll come back. I'm not that concerned right now with it. They're interchanging. It's coming, and it just takes time, So chemistry is huge, and I think overall our chemistry is phenomenal right now. And we want to keep it growing.
The Sixers open the season Wednesday in New Orleans before a showdown with the East favorite Nets on Friday on ESPN. And just 4 of their first 10 are against teams that made the playoffs last season, so Philly could have a chance to get off to a hot start here. And for more on this, now we bring in Adrian Wojnarowski, our insider. Ben Simmons, he returned to Philly about a week ago, and he rejoined the team on the court over the weekend. But Woj, what does that participation really mean?
Malika, his participation physically has been incremental. He went from not really doing much the first few days besides take a COVID test to starting to shoot, to starting to get on the floor with his team. But the mental engagement is something that still is coming along. How invested is Ben Simmons going to be in this Sixer season and team? And is he ready to start playing in games? And that's the decision now that's going to have to be made between he and Doc Rivers over the next few days. When does he debut this season, and does he debut?
So just because he's there doesn't mean it's necessarily all smooth sailing. But at the top of the show, you talked about DeAndre Ayton. So what's the deal with his contract extension in Phoenix?
Malika, this is a significant development. I'm told that the DeAndre Ayton extension talks have ended without a deal ahead of the 6 p.m. deadline tonight. Now, this is the #1 overall pick from the 2018 draft. And it is shocking to, I think, a lot of people around the league that Phoenix did not offer him a max contract. DeAndre Ayton was not accepting less than that. You saw several players in his draft class get those max deals. And now Robert Sarver, their owner in Phoenix, who has a history of really withholding financial commitment, to try to keep a contender together. He's faced now with a very unhappy DeAndre Ayton. And then next summer, the possibility of restricted free agency for DeAndre Ayton, when you're going to see teams maneuver, perhaps at a chance to sign him to an offer sheet, sign him to an early exit in his contract, that even if Phoenix matches, they might lose him a year early. He could also sign the qualifying offer, Malika, play out, and then become an unrestricted free agent the following year. I think this decision in Phoenix by Robert Sarver could have real dire consequences as they try to keep this Western Conference champion together and trying to get back there again, not this year, but in the future.
So what are you hearing now about DeAndre Ayton's mindset?
He's very unhappy. Listen, he saw his peers who got max deals and looked at what he's done so far, how much he's sacrificed. I think offensively, with the arrival of Chris Paul, with the emergence of Devin Booker, that this was a player who, really bought in with Monty Williams. They've had a great relationship. He's gotten the best of them. And this is a team certainly unlike anybody else in his class, that 2018 draft class. He's won. He's gone to the NBA Finals and played a significant role on it. This is going to be really interesting in Phoenix now this season. DeAndre Ayton is not happy, and he's going to have some options after the season about how to proceed with his future, whether it's in Phoenix or somewhere else.
Absolutely. And DeAndre Ayton, he's always been very impressive, very mature in how he sort of looks at these things. So it's going to be interesting, Woj, to see this play out. Please don't go anywhere. We know there's going to be more news to break here, but we really need to talk about this a little bit more. We have so many experts here to break this down. Again, that is DeAndre Ayton not agreeing to terms for a contract extension in this moment. So, Richard, what is your reaction to that?
Well, I wonder how much Sarver cares. You look at his history over the past, since he took over, as ownership, he has been very hesitant to spend money. And then when you have the #1 pick, when they take you to the NBA Finals and you don't reward that player, that's the player that you don't want to reward. To me, yes, it could be tense. He could be, DeAndre Ayton could be frustrated with this, but I don't know how much Sarver cares. He looks at this purely as just business.
Zach Lowe, how do you read this?
Look, I thought all along cooler heads would prevail. A max deal would get done for all the reasons RJ just said. Mikal Bridges, 4 years, 90. I thought maybe that's a sign. Maybe that's a sign that there'll be a little thawing, and there just never has been. And according to Woj, never was. And to me, the worry now for the Suns is not losing DeAndre Ayton. He's not going to sign a one-year deal. He's not going to go anywhere. The worry is years, because now you've opened up the Pandora's box where some team can say, here's a 3-year offer sheet, and you have to match that. That's the mid, and then you lose him for years 4 and 5. You lose the longevity. That's the worry now. You've opened up a Pandora's box. You can't shut it.
Well, my thing is when you're trying to compete for a title and win the championship, you need everybody in the locker room with a clear head and everybody to be focused. And when you have a young player like DeAndre Ayton, who outplayed Jokic in the Western Conference Finals last year to help them get to the finals, and then he watching everybody get paid. You see Chris Paul talking in a post-game interview in the playoffs last year saying, pay DeAndre Ayton. And look, this man has done more than we expected last year. He brought the tenacity. He anchored the defense. Now, yes, he went up against Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I got his name right on the first try. But listen, but the man deserves his dollars, man. If you're going to pay Bridges, you got to pay DeAndre Ayton.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can I just say one more thing?
Go ahead,
If you're not going to pay me, don't come in there and smile at me. Don't come in there, and that's where the tense gets. If you're gonna not pay me what I believe that I've earned, then you're gonna come and smile. Hey, come do this stuff. Then it gets a little.
And by the way, props to Ayton and his agent for saying it's max or nothing. They held strong.
Yeah. But Malika, Zach, Richard give fake smiles all the time.
All the time. Every time I see you.
Good Lord. Coming up, we have a question. Who is going to dominate the East? Our analysts break down where the Sixers land in the Eastern Conference hierarchy without Ben Simmons. Plus, the Nets drama continues. Kyrie is Horton Tucker. So, Chene, who are you adding to that list and who are you dropping?
As a Nigerian, Chuma, okay, Chuma, we had a lot of Nigerians. I'm going to add Jalen Green. I mean, obviously, I'm from Houston, Texas, and I'm very biased. But I think a lot of people are going to be extremely excited to see what he's able to do. It's been a rough couple seasons for the Rockets, and I think he's got everything you need on the court. He can, score at 3 levels. And then off the court, I mean, he's going to give you a little razzle-dazzle as well. So like Jalen Green is my guy. Exactly.
Well, okay, so I was going to pick like one person, but I want to say the Chicago Bulls. I think the Chicago Bulls has
what?
Hear me out. I want to say DeMar DeRozan, how much does he have left? Yes, we picked a bunch of young players, but I want to talk a little bit about veterans. Lonzo Ball, I want to see what he's going to do, and I want to see the jump that Zach LaVine is going to make. Can he go from all-star to an actual bona fide superstar? So I think those 3 players, to me, all together on the same team are the most intriguing.
Okay,
you can't pick a team. You just can't, even though they are intriguing. But I will say, Lonzo was on my list. Lonzo was a late cut. Lonzo's super exciting this year. What can he do?
Yeah.
I want to see what the Chicago Bulls can do.
Yeah.
This is going to be exciting. Stick around.
Year $45 million extension off of his current deal. So now that ties him to Indiana for 4 years, almost $90 million. He's an important part for Rick Carlisle as he starts out in Indiana. His leadership has been a big part of trying to get this locker room back together, get this Indiana team back in the playoffs.
Absolutely. So it's a big day for extensions around the league. What's going down? What are you hearing?
Well, Jaren Jackson Jr. in Memphis, 4 years, $105 million, one of the cornerstone players with John Morant to that great young core with the Grizzlies. We know we had Mikal Bridges yesterday, $90 million done in Phoenix. They're still talking to Landry Shamet in Phoenix about a rookie extension. And as we reported earlier, the DeAndre Ayton talks have ended.
Still talking about Landry Shamet, still seeing how that is going to shake out. Appreciate you, Woj. More from you shortly. But first, we need to talk about the WNBA Finals where the Chicago Sky captured their first WNBA championship. They took out the Phoenix Mercury. So let's get to the highlights. The Sky trailed the Mercury by double digits in the fourth quarter, but they had a comeback for the ages. Stephanie Dolson swings it to Allie Quigley. Quigley knocks down the 3. Quigley had 26 points. Less than 3 minutes to go. The Sky down by 5. Candace Parker finds a cutting Kalia Copper. Copper finishes. 3-point game. Next Sky possession, Courtney Vandersloot fires a pass to Parker. Parker drills a 3. Tie game at 72. And 1:30 left, still tied. Dolson cuts to the basket. Dolson scores at the rim. Sky take a 2-point lead. Chance the Rapper, look at him. He's loving it. So we have 30 seconds left. Sky still leading by 2. Vandersloot gets in the lane. Vandersloot stops. Bang, bang, hits the fadeaway jumper. Vandersloot, 10 points, 15 assists, 9 rebounds. Lead back up to 4. Parker, look at her. She can feel the Sky. They're getting close. Candace, boom. That's it. That'll do it. Candace goes to hug her family courtside. Parker and her teammates getting a little emotional after the game.
Big to do something in this space when, and I'm just going to keep it real, I've always had to prove my intelligence. Always. But the hard work gets your intelligence in the room. So once you work hard, people start to listen to you. And I understand that. And I've understood that from an early age, that, I have to be different, or not just different, just be visible and represent good visibility instead of the visibility that they try to put on us.
What a series it was for the Sky, who became the first team in WNBA history to win the title without a winning regular season record. That's after Chicago became the first team to overcome a double-digit fourth-quarter deficit in the finals in that game for clincher. Janae, what you got?
All right, so the Chicago Sky won a WNBA championship behind, Candace Parker. Let's give her flowers.
Yeah,
but
yes,
also there was
yes.
a record-breaking performance by the point guard Courtney Vandersloot, and she had 50 assists through 4 games in the WNBA Finals. Ooh. How do you do that when you're 5'8"? And I don't know, I play against her. She's more like 5'6", 5'7". I'm going to show you exactly. It was 90 seconds left, and this was the assist that really mattered the most. So who wants to be Candace Parker? Who wants to be Stephanie Dolson? Big Mama Steph. Big Mama Steph, come to me.
Candace Parker.
Candace Parker on the wing. So if you're 5'8" and you're slicing and dicing, oh, you're Candace Parker?
Yes.
Okay, all right, bunnies. If you're 5'8" and you're a point guard and you're slicing and dicing, how do you get the freedom to find the open man? Well, all right, you're my screener, Big Mama Steph. Yeah. Everyone thinks, you react off of the first screen, right? Mm-hmm. Bait, gotcha. You know the twist rescreen?
Yeah.
Hit you with another. What happens when you twist rescreen?
Ooh, you got the roll.
You got the roll, so guess what?
The help in.
Candace Parker, wide open shoots.
We should not have. Don't you dare.
Oh, come on. Give me that. Oh. God. So you bait in the defense.
I was just saying I didn't want to split my
It's all right. We have a lot of shots coming. Right. You bait in the defense, and that's how Candace Parker was able to hit that dagger shot with 90 seconds left. And guess what? Sky won it.
It's harder than it looks. Look, show Perk.
We'll get our reps up in the break.
Buckets today. Coming up on NBA Today, hop on the Nets roller coaster with us. Beyond the twists and turns of Kyrie's absence, the deadline for James Harden's contract extension is 11:59 p.m. tonight. Will Harden become the NBA's first $60 million man? And tack on a 3-year, $161 million extension on top of that. Or he can let that deadline pass and next offseason could secure a $270 million bag with the Nets. So I sat down with Harden to get some insight into how he's approaching this contract decision.
I think at the course of my career, I've never been a free agent before. So I've always just been, loyal and just signing contract extension and just being there. I just want to take my time with it. It's going to be very, very difficult to leave here, or even to leave Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Yeah. But I think this season I just want to focus on winning the championship, and everything else will work itself out.
So for more on this, we welcome back senior NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski. And Woj, this deadline is coming fast. What have you heard that James Harden may decide?
And Malika, all indications are that James Harden's going to let this deadline pass and address his contract extension in Brooklyn next offseason, where, as you said, he can make a lot more money. Brooklyn is confident that James Harden wants to be there long term. And the fact that Kevin Durant signed his extension in this offseason, that's a pretty good indicator that he knows James Harden is confident in his future in Brooklyn.
Thanks so much, Woj. Don't go anywhere. We may have more news coming up, but I want to stick with James Harden here because there is so much that we need to get into. And this is really interesting because Kyrie Irving isn't with the team, and Harden is at the core of what Brooklyn is trying to do, and that's win a championship. So now I want to welcome in our front office insider, Bobby Marks, so we can further dissect what's at stake here for Harden. So, Bobby, does it financially make sense for Harden to sign right now?
Oh, Malika, it makes a lot of sense to play out this season here because Harden will attempt to do something that nobody has ever done before. Become the first $60 million player in NBA history. If he plays out this season, he opts into his $47.4 million contract for next season, and then he'll be allowed to sign a $223 million extension. Malika, the last year of that contract, $62 million. That is a lot of money for the former MVP.
That is a ton of money. Bobby, thank you so much for breaking those numbers down for us because they do get a little complicated. So if Harden doesn't sign by 11:59 p.m. Eastern, that doesn't close the door on his staying in Brooklyn. In fact, the Nets are the only team that can offer him $270 million over the next 5 years. So let's talk about how this affects the Nets with Richard Jefferson, Zach Lowe, Kendrick Perkins. Richard, I'll start with you. Let's go on the court. Harden, no Kyrie, at least to start the season. So How do you see that, the necessity coming in there?
Well, I think this was so crazy about Kyrie Irving, who was a third-team All-NBA player. He's the third best player on that team. And, you know, arguably the third most important player. And that's no disrespect to Kyrie. It's just you have all-world in Kevin Durant. And then you have James Harden, who has proven he can go 30 and 12 at any point in time, get everyone else involved. That's part of the reason why Kyrie gave up that responsibility, because James Harden is one of the best, if not the best in the world at scoring and assisting.
Well, if I'm the Brooklyn Nets, I'm a little scared because they had a plan in place coming into this season. Kevin Durant was supposed to sign first, which he did. Next was supposed to be Kyrie Irving, and then James Harden. All was supposed to be signed before training camp, and then all this came about with the vaccination for us with Kyrie Irving. And now James Harden is telling the world he wanted to experience, or he told you, Malika, that he wanted to experience free agency for the first time. So if I'm the Brooklyn Nets, I got to be worried just a little bit because, look, let's not forget, James Harden has made a ton of money. He's making a ton of money off the court as well, and he wants to win a championship. And, look, Daryl Moore is over there lurking. I'm telling y'all right now. Him and Doc Rivers.
He did say at the end, though, he said winning cures everything to me. So I took that in our discussion as more of a, hey, I don't just want to sign right away, but that doesn't necessarily close the door. So, Zach, would you be scared if you were the Nets?
Yeah, are you saying it's scary hours time for Brooklyn?
Leave. No, Zach. Thank you, Zach.
He dropped the ball. He get ready.
The Nets can still win the championship without Kyrie Irving. If they get 0 from Kyrie Irving, they can still win the championship. They are co-favorites right now with the Milwaukee Bucks to me. Would they have James Harden and Kevin Durant? You're looking at me like I'm crazy. Let me say those names again. James Harden and Kevin Durant, who we all just agreed 2 months ago has become the undisputed #1 player in the NBA.
Richard, come on.
Why do you think that's crazy? You don't think they can win the championship?
Why are you yelling at me? He's the one that disagreed with you. What I'm trying to say is that he is wrong. He's saying that all of a sudden they had a three-person plan of KD, of James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. Well, it just showed that financially it makes more sense for James Harden to wait at the end of the season. So if I'm James Harden, I don't give a damn what your plan is. I'm not signing a contract on No Bones Day. That's what I'm sorry. I'm not doing that.
So we've talked a whole lot about Kevin Durant. Woj mentioned, having Kevin Durant locked up should give us should give the Nets some sort of confidence, right, that they're going to be able to move forward. But Perk, you played with Kevin Durant in Oklahoma City coming into the season, telling me he had unfinished business. That's what he was saying. So when Durant goes into that mindset, I got unfinished business. What does that look like behind the scenes?
MVP. And look, I picked Joel Embiid, but with Kyrie Irving being out, I'm going with Kevin Durant. I watched Kevin Durant and played with him his MVP season when Russell Westbrook was injured and he went out. Kevin Durant is willing to take his game and capable of taking his game to another level. We saw that last year. He's just that special. So KD is going to rock with James. They have a chemistry. James Harden is going to move to the point guard. KD might lead the league in scoring.
And remember, there was a time, like the first 20 games with James Harden in Brooklyn before he was injured,
right?
People were saying, wait a second, is it possible he might win MVP after sandbagging it for the Houston Rockets? He's going to be incredible. He's going to find the right balance. Like, he was overpassing a little bit when he first got there. He was a little deferential, like, I want to get everyone involved. Then he found his sweet spot. I think he's going to be the best version of James Harden in the right sweet spot for him. I think he's going to have a monster season.
I saw Perk talking, and then I saw Richard's eyes getting big.
Well,
so
anytime he says anything. But to his point, Kevin Durant is one of those individuals, and we saw it in the postseason. Now, we saw that he was playing 45 minutes, 50 minutes in the postseason. That's not what you want. And so I still, same as LeBron James, he might not be able to play enough minutes and enough games to win an MVP because you want to conserve him. I think that Kevin Durant, especially with James Harden and the injury history that they've had in their organization, you might not want to play him that much and push him that hard. You're trying to win a championship, not MVPs.
Guys.
What?
Guys, we got to talk a little bit about Kyrie because while we're talking about the Nets, here's a video of Kyrie Irving playing a game of pickup football at a high school in New Jersey yesterday, according to TMZ Sports. Perk, what do you make of Kyrie's, football moves?
Nothing. I mean, look, this is Kyrie being Kyrie, right? Unvaccinated, without a mask, out here playing football, just doing things Kyrie Irving way. And here's the thing, right? If I'm James Harden and I'm Kevin Durant, I'm pissed because Kyrie Irving only worry about what helps Kyrie or benefit Kyrie Irving.
Sure.
So, hey, whatever.
Okay, so that's a little bit silly, right? That video of Kyrie Irving playing football, but it does bring back, at least for me, a little bit when the game was being played last season and he was on a Zoom. Not because that Zoom was for a bad cause, but because that's where he was. So for you, Zach, how do you think about this sort of video, this sort of activity right now?
Well, he also got on his IG Live at crunch time of the WNBA Finals. Tackle or touch? I think that's an important question. I need to know tackle or touch. Look, this is the Nets. They were optimistic all along that he would get vaccinated. He hasn't got vaccinated. It's still going on. It's still going on. And you talk to anyone in that organization, you can hear the frustration. Now, they're not hiding it. And I don't think stuff like this is going to help. I don't know what the future holds for this relationship between player and team anymore.
Can I play devil's advocate? Look, he's just staying in shape. He's training. He's running. He's keeping his conditioning up.
He did say he did want to keep that. He said he's going to continue to train because eventually he's hoping that something one way or another will give and he will be able to.
Now that part I question. What is going
That's
to
just
give?
What he said,
that is the number one question. What is going to give? Is the city going to change the mandate? Is the team going to allow him to practice and play in half the games? I don't think I see any scenario where those two scenarios changes. So the only thing that can change is whether or not he chooses to take the vaccine. So hopefully he stays in condition. I think Kyrie will stay professional and will stay in conditioning, maybe not playing tackle football, but ultimately that just is what it is. Kyrie's just going to be doing things, just trying to stay in shape.
Right, but for now, it seems like it's going to be a little bit of a waiting game. We've talked a lot about the East, so let's talk about the West. The Lakers and the Warriors tip off the season tomorrow night. Next up on NBA Today, we will tell you the biggest question mark for LA this season.
Of the defenders on the league. On the offensive end, you're missing a 6'10" point guard. So, Chene, let's focus on what Simmons does well.
You know, it's so easy to shade Ben Simmons based on how the playoffs went last year, but he still has real value. That's with defense, and that's also with distribution. But let's start with the defense. You ready, Richard?
Let's go.
All right, defensively, he finished second in Defensive Player of the Year voting, and this is a reason why. Like you said, did you say 6'10"? It's 6'11" in the back.
My fault.
Deflections, he's top 5 in the NBA in deflections, and what I love here is he's always present in the defensive play. This is a closeout, athletic, stays within the play, doesn't foul, and this is what gets him going. So defense is his bread and butter. Now, I love this. He's switchable. He can guard anyone. But, you know, they always say play the ball, not the player, and he played the ball. Got the interception, baby! And they're off and running. So defense is his bread and butter. But then let's talk a little bit about his distribution, because right there, that's exactly what Philly does. They want to get easy, fast break points. So Ben Simmons, he still has real value, even though I know it's kind of a little bit of like a Cold War metaphorically over there in Philly.
Yeah, okay. Now, look, if there is no Ben Simmons for the foreseeable future, let's take a look at how they should probably play given the talent that they have. That means that you have a big fella. That means the big fella, the guy that was second in the MVP voting behind Jokic. Oh. Look, he takes his time. He should touch the ball every single time. And look, when you don't have Ben Simmons, that means, and Ben Simmons led the NBA in fast break assists the last 2 years, so you have to play a slower, deliberate game. What does a slow, deliberate game look like? I'll show it to you. That's the big fundamental. Look, you get him the ball. Okay. You know you're not going to double team him. And this is against Shaq. And all he's doing is taking his time. That's what you should do. You should use the same San Antonio system. Look, give them the ball. Take your time.
Right,
create space. And then if they come down and double, Joel Embiid can do exactly. And look at the score. 52-50 in the middle of the third.
That's halftime now.
That's what you have to do if you don't have Ben Simmons and you only have Joel Embiid as your primary superstar. You have to play a slow down, more deliberate game.
Let's go, teammate.
Let's go. Good job out there, girl. Good job out there. So.
Y'all made that look good. You made that look good. Looking ahead to tomorrow, the Warriors and the Lakers open with the latest showdown between Steph and LeBron. James has a 9-7 head-to-head advantage in the regular season, but Curry's squad won 3 of their 4 finals series. The Lakers enter the season as the West favorites per Caesars with a squad that combined for a 57 All-Star selections, the most going into a season in NBA history per Elias. The Warriors have the 2nd shortest odds to win the West and the 4th shortest to win the title. And no other team to miss the playoffs last season ranks higher than 14th in the title odds. So, the Warriors, they had somewhat of a down year last year because of injuries, but coming into this upcoming season, they had retooled their bench and expect to get Klay Thompson back at some point from injury, some point probably in the middle of the season, they're saying. So Perk What do you feel like the ceiling is for the Warriors this year?
The ceiling is the finals.
It's not the floor, the roof. Ceiling
right. The ceiling is the finals. And when you watch the way that the Warriors have played, even in the preseason, right? I'm a guy that you try to establish your identity from the jump. Being on the championship team, you don't take preseason for granted. And the way that Steph Curry was attacking preseason, the way that we saw Jordan Poole getting better, right? And then when you look at the others, they're playing well. They're cutting without the ball. Andre Iguodala is back at home again. And then they're always going to play defense, led by their anchor in Draymond Green. And now when you get Klay Thompson back, a guy that is shooting from the parking lot, look at Steph giving the wiggle. I'm just saying, I got the ceiling for the Warriors is going to the finals.
Before Zach goes, can you give a wiggle?
Yeah, I'm doing.
Yeah. What do you think, Zach?
Antoine Walker would not be proud of that.
I feel sorry for his loss.
I always feel good when I agree with Perk, because I'm higher on the Warriors than usual, than most people. I think finals is absolutely their ceiling.
Interesting.
Obviously, a lot of it has to do with Klay, right? Like, we're kind of assuming an optimistic prognosis for Klay. He's missed 2 years with 2 devastating injuries. But I think last year, look, a couple of things. Plus 10 per 100 possessions with Steph and Draymond on the floor and no Wiseman. When they played Warriors basketball, they were really, really good. Guess what? They're just playing Warriors basketball this year. There's no let's feed all these young guys all infinite minutes to develop them. They're trying to win. They found more guys who can play Warriors basketball. And if Klay comes back and he's, 85% of the Klay we remember, I think this team is really, really dangerous if they can just hold the fort until then.
Do you get the sense that they view themselves as the hunters or the hunted?
I think they always view themselves as whatever the top is. I don't think Steph and Draymond have ever stopped conceiving of the Warriors as the hunted, I guess, as a team that can absolutely beat anybody on any given night as long as they're healthy.
Absolutely. Hey, Richard's cell phone's ringing. Should we answer?
No, but it's...
Just kidding. All right, Zach, let's move into the Lakers. The Lakers are the betting favorites in the West and have made some big acquisitions in the offseason, and health has been a concern for the Lakers stars. Zach, what concerns you most about the Lakers heading into this season?
Honestly, it's the dumbest answer, but the fact that LeBron is second all-time in minutes played in NBA history, and 2 of his last 3 seasons have been derailed by injury. Now, you could say they were fluky injuries. Solomon Hill dove into his leg and all that. Look, we can yell and scream, and we will yell and scream about how does Russ fit? Do they have enough two-way wings? How much center is Anthony Davis going to play? Those are all real questions. The answer to all of those questions is if LeBron James and Anthony Davis are healthy at the end, those questions mean less and less and less because those 2 guys are that good. And if they're not healthy at the end, it doesn't really matter. So to me, it's that he's getting to a point. Yes, he's an Iron Man.